Have you ever heard of the term blue zones? This is areas of the world where people are living much longer than the average life expectancy for that region, or really for the whole world. I'm so interested in finding out what these people are doing that would help them to live so much longer than the rest of us. Are they near the best hospitals or the best schools? Are they making more money than everybody else? Is this the workout capital of the world? More developed nations, maybe? What would be your guess on these type of things? Well, we're going to dig into what exactly makes a blue zone and what factors contribute to them living so much longer than the rest of us. Hi everybody, my name is Ben Jackson, and welcome back to The Art of Doing. On this channel, we're hoping to broaden your horizons, introduce you to many new topics, and hopefully spur you into some new interests or some new passions. Today we're talking about blue zones. These areas have fascinated me. What would make an area in Sardinia, Italy, have the most 100-year-old males in the world? What would make an area in Costa Rica, Nicoya Peninsula, have the lowest rate of middle-age mortality? And how about Ikaria, Greece? 1 in 3 chance, if you live in this area, to reach the age of 90. And again, the life expectancy for somebody here in America, 78 years old. There is a place in Loma Linda, California, where they are likely to live 10 years longer than that on average. What are these people doing? How can we recreate it? And is there some common threads in all these areas that we could really look at to show a way to increase our life expectancy? Well, the research has shown that only about 20% of our life expectancy is actually attached to our genetic makeup. So that leaves an 80% gap that we might be able to do something about. Now, of course, if you're living in an area that's high in crime, or if you're into something that's a very, very risky behavior, obviously your life expectancy is going to dip, and there's not a bunch you can do of the other factors that can help you out. But there's groups of anthropologists and epidemiologists and scientists that are studying all these blue zones across the world. There's 5 that they've documented. I think I left out Okinawa, Japan. Like I said, they're looking for some commonalities. And they've tracked down a strong 5 and a most likely 9 different factors that can contribute to this amazing life expectancy jump. I wanted to get this information out to you guys, and maybe you do a little bit more research of your own. So one of the commonalities that they found in all 5 of these areas is a constant movement, constant use of your body. And we're not talking the workout capitals of the world here. We're talking places where you have to move and walk in order to fulfill your daily activities. There's not a lot of driving of the car. There's not a lot of sitting at the office desk. This is somewhere where you might have to walk to see your local store, or you might have to carry something up a hill. And these types of activities are ingrained in their daily life. The constant moving, not just working out hard for an hour or 2 a day, but constantly throughout the day having to work, not necessarily exert yourself, but to keep that body moving. And another one that I thought was very interesting, that they established a common link in all 5 of these blue zones, is having a life's purpose. That's kind of a tough one to put your finger on, but it's described as something that you get out of bed for, something that you live to do. Maybe you could call it your passion in life. And if you have this passion that you're living to accomplish, and you're doing this on a constant basis, so we're not just talking about something you love to do and once a year on vacation you get to do it, but your passion is being explored constantly. And this is another factor that really contributes to boosting up your life expectancy. A third commonality that they discovered is a decreased caloric intake. These folks are not eating and stuffing themselves and having feasts all the time. Of course, eating well, but there's a proverb in Okinawa, actually, one of the blue zones, and they say to practice eating until your stomach is 80% full. Maybe this is a slower eating, or maybe just a more purposeful and mindful eating, but they're restricting calories, and there is a lot of research into the benefits of restricting calories. Actually, a hormetic response would get kicked off, and I did a video on Hormesis. I'll throw a link up there and down in the notes so you can check that out. Again, they're not going to excess on food, which brings me to another one, is the majority of these diets from these 5 zones are not vegetarian or vegan, but plant-based and mainly center around plants. So they're not eating meat, but it's fairly restricted. I think it was 3 or 4 times a month they're having a small portion of meat. And that's not to say that they're not getting their protein. The vegetarians out there know that you can get protein and complete proteins by managing what you're eating, but they're not a heavy meat based diet. There's a very strong focus on family and the family unit in these areas, living with or living nearby your parents and your older relatives, fostering a community around your relatives. And of course, this helps that you're taking care of your parents, and then your children are taking care of you, and having these people around you would really lift your spirits and keep you out of trouble. So many of us are isolated from folks, and we may be running into some troubles that we might not catch on our own, where having family around is always good to show you when you might be going down the wrong path. And there's also a very strong community of friendships, or a social aspect in these groups where folks are getting together, maybe having lifelong friends. I believe, I can't remember which one of these, but I was reading up on one of these areas has a concept of friendship where, I believe it's in Okinawa, where they set up 5 friends that are a group of friends for life. And of course, it helps if you're living that far into your older age, that you have people around you that are that age as well. So many of our older folks are talking about how their friends are no longer with them. But if you're living in this area where so many people are getting up to that advanced age, then of course you're that much more likely to have people your age to hang out with. I don't know if I mentioned, but in Ikaria, Greece, one of the blue zones, you have a 1 in 3 chance of living over 90 years old. So of course, if you have a close social network of friends and family, you're going to have plenty of people that are of your age enjoying those older years with you. If we can imagine how we felt 10 years ago, imagine being able to transport yourself back 10 years. Well, that's what 10 years of life expectancy on average for Americans is being added on in this group in Loma Linda. They're 7-day Adventists. They are somewhat isolated from the rest of the area and are practicing a much different lifestyle. One of the other 9, which strongly applies to the Seventh-day Adventists, is a faith, or a religion, or a faith, a spirituality. Doesn't necessarily have to be a religion, but this is another commonality in all of these areas. That's a very strong rooted belief, faith, higher power, something that you're really respectful of. And again, this can be different depending on the culture, but having this definitely tends to increase your life expectancy. Believe it or not, in 4 of these 5 areas, these people like to drink alcohol. One of the commonalities is a moderate and consistent alcohol intake, and they're talking about 1 to 2 drinks a day on average. So we're not talking saving up all these drinks and binging on the weekend, but a glass of wine or 2 a day. That's usually not at night, and they're not overindulging. I believe the Seventh-day Adventist is the one blue zone that doesn't partake in alcohol at all. But the rest of these areas are having, again, very moderate but consistent alcohol intake. And all 5 of these blue zones are also managing their stress levels very well. And of course, we talk about all these blue zones, they're not homogeneous, they're not acting all the same. The Okinawan somewhat vegetarian diet is going to be very different from a Mediterranean vegetarian type diet. And the faiths and different religions and different spiritualities of all of these places is obviously different. And the way they are handling their stress reduction is also different. In Okinawa, they are taking some time every day to thank and remember and appreciate their ancestors. Some of these blue zones are practicing a nap every day. Some of them have a happy hour every day. But there's a commonality of having some sort of stress release, some sort of way to deal with stress. These aren't utopian societies where they have no stress and times aren't hard and there's still loss and there's still sadness and sorrow and there's still difficulties and stress. But they're finding a way to relieve this stress, be it meditation or contemplation or a happy hour. They're finding a built-in way into their lives that they're not having to work at to cause more stress to get this stress relief. Hopefully, scientists are continuing to study these blue zones. I find them fascinating. Increasing our lifespan is something I'm sure all of us would be very interested in doing. And none of these commonalities are bad things. Really, nobody can argue with any of these 9 factors that they've woven into. Maybe the alcohol consumption. Or taking anything that you could from any of these zones would be a great idea. And I hope they continue to study and come out with more and more findings from what exactly the secret sauce is that they're taking care of there. I'd like you to leave me a comment in the comment section down below. Are any of these something that you think you could change? I'd be interested in knowing what type of stress relieving procedure are you practicing on a daily basis. And if you're still with us, please smash that like button, share this out any way you can, and share this out so we can grow this community. You can see me on Facebook at Art of Doing. You can email me anytime at artofdoingod@gmail.com. And obviously, leave me a comment about anything you like or any upcoming topics that you'd like to talk about. Thanks as always for staying with me. Let's practice compassion, let's practice kindness, and let's practice humility. Thanks for being with me to help me practice the art of doing. There's some great videos over here that you might like. Click here to subscribe, and there's a great playlist down here. Thanks, everybody.